Welcome to 3D Amazon FBA. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about IP claims, how I've had success getting IP claims removed, and about account suspensions. So in my 2 years being on Amazon, I've had 3 complaints filed on me. The first one I had was back like mid-October of last year. And it was a board game from a company called Awesome. And I didn't realize it at the time, but they are notorious for filing complaints against people on Amazon. And I didn't know at the time. So I had a board game that I just wasn't going to open. It was my own personal board game. It was never opened. It was never, the seal was never broken. But I was never going to play it. So I was like, you know what, I'll just send it into Amazon, I'll sell it real quick. I never had any issues before, it just never occurred to me. And I was very complacent, obviously, or else I wouldn't have sent it in. So I had the complaint filed against me, and I didn't have the receipt. So Amazon gives you time to work your problems out with the IP holder. So Amazon will email you, so-and-so is your contact, from Awesome. Yeah, I probably shouldn't drop her name. I almost dropped her name. But, so-and-so at Awesome filed a claim against you on this board game. You need to email her to resolve your complaint. So I didn't have the receipt because it was my own personal thing. I keep every receipt for product I buy to resell. But this one I didn't have the receipt. I knew I bought it at Target. I knew I used my credit card because I always use the same Cash Rewards credit card when I make my every purchase for Amazon. So I knew where I bought it. I knew what I used to buy it. I wasn't too sure when. So I contacted the lady and I was like, hey, my game's not counterfeit. I know, and I knew the company bought it because they have to. Because I was able to problem solve. I went through the receipt, or the transaction of the purchaser, and that address was to the Awesome headquarters. So I was like, I know your company bought the game. Go ahead. I challenge you guys to open the game up, verify that it's legit, that it's not a counterfeit game, and blah blah blah. And she said, I can't resolve my complaint against you until you have the receipt. So I was struggling to get a copy of the receipt. Target can get you a receipt if they go 1 calendar year back, but I just wasn't having any luck finding which transaction from Target was the proper transaction. So after a few weeks, she escalated it to an actual account suspension. So I was like fully suspended. I was like in a big major panic. And it took me about a month to pin down which Target transaction was the board game. And it was actually a very challenging thing to find someone through Target that was competent enough to actually look up the receipt properly, because this particular transaction seemed right about the right time, and people just kept saying, no, I can't find that transaction. Like, they literally just couldn't even find it. And I was telling them the date, time, store number, amount of the total transaction. So finally I found somebody that was competent, and they emailed me the receipt. So I took the receipt, I properly marked the receipt the way that Amazon wants you to, and I'll show you an example later on in the video. So I send that over to her, and I'm like, see, I finally found the receipt. Here's my transaction for that specific board game. And within 24 hours, she responded. She dropped the complaint, and once she verified to me that she was dropping the complaint, I emailed Amazon a copy of the email from her, and I said, look, she's dropping the complaint, you should be receiving it shortly. and I was back selling on Amazon within 24 hours. So, I mean, I was suspended for like a full month. It literally took me like a full month to get this receipt and to get it handled. And it was really stressful, but, you know, I was able to do it. I was able to get my account back, thank God. So, I had no IP complaints because this got resolved in November. So, I didn't get any IP complaints for like 10 months. And I've gotten 2 this month in September. So the first one was for a hair bow. It was a branded hair bow from a TV character. And I believe it was another seller that did it. I've heard stories of other sellers filing complaints to get people off listings so they can sell through their inventory. So this hair bow was like, I think it was ranked 60,000 in beauty, I believe it was. So it was selling really good. And I got the complaint, and I forget the name of the manufacturer of the company, but it wasn't I don't know how the licensing works as far as like t-shirts or whatever, but it, you know, I would assume, like, I'm wearing a Tool t-shirt, so I'd assume that Tool would have the IP rights because it's their brand or their name on the shirt, but the company make the shirt. I don't know who holds the rights for this as far as IP claims go, but this was from the actual manufacturer of the bow and not the company the character belongs to. So as I'm going through the email, you know, it says company ABC whatever, file the complaint, you need to contact them at this email address, and the email address was a Gmail address. Now, if I'm a company that does a lot of business, and because I bought the hair bow at Walmart, so Walmart doesn't deal with just like any little dinky company generally. So I was like, a Gmail account. So I went and looked it up. Everybody got kicked off the listing but one seller. And I'm like, this has got to be the seller that did this. So I did my due diligence. I sent, you know, a similar letter that I sent to Osmodee to get my complaint removed to that Gmail account. Then I emailed Amazon a similar email, and I gave Amazon my receipt, and I properly marked my receipt. And Amazon, they actually opened my email because I have a Chrome extension that notifies me when I send an email out through Gmail, because I use Gmail for Amazon because I have 3 email addresses for my Amazon business. But anyway, so I have a Chrome extension. It said Amazon opened my email, like it was in the middle of the night that night, and I didn't get a response from Amazon for, I think it was 3 to 4 days. And Amazon emailed me and they said, oh, you know, we've figured out that the counterfeit complaint against you wasn't correct, and we're going to remove it from your account. So it was removed from my account. It took 3 to 4 days, and I'm willing to bet that Amazon probably realized that it was another seller, because typically, in my experience and from what I've talked to people and what I've learned, is Amazon wants you to resolve it with the other party, and they don't want to be involved. They want as little involvement as possible in the whole process. So I'm willing to bet they realized it was another seller and, you know, let it go. So the third one was this week. So Epic Games, they filed a complaint against me. You know, I sell a lot of apparel, and I had a Fortnite PJ set that I purchased, and, you know, I sent in 3 or 4 different sizes, and I sent them all in, and only one size got flagged out of the 4, which I thought was kind of odd. So I was outsourcing when I got the email, so I stopped sourcing to run home and handle this, because IP complaints are just like a nightmare. I don't want to get suspended. I want to protect my account. So I chose to stop sourcing so I can go handle this issue. So I run home. I do little fact checking before I sent out the email to see exactly what was going on. So what happened was there was 2 listings for the same item. So the one listing, I had 3 of the 4 sizes I sent in ended up being on that listing, and the other one went to another listing. And I've actually never had that happen before. I don't know why it happened. It was really unique. But anyway, so the one listing was fine, no issues, and the other listing was completely deleted from Amazon. I didn't even get the little doggy that says like nothing to see here or whatever it is. When an ASIN gets removed, like it was a ghost. It didn't exist at all anymore. So I think Epic Games probably did the same thing with every single person on that specific listing. So I went and I grabbed my receipt. So how you mark your receipts is basically, it's hard to see. So right here you can see I circled the item. I wrote the ASIN off to the side, and that way they know. They can see the UPC number, they can see what it was you purchased, and they can, obviously see the ASIN they filed the complaint against. So, I sent a similar email to Epic Games saying, my product is legit, I bought it at the store, blah, 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 and I sent them the receipt. And they responded the following day, and they're like, okay, I don't know verbatim what it was that they said, but they basically said, yes, I see your product was authorized. We now see that your product wasn't a counterfeit, and we are going to drop the complaint against you. So it's good. They're not going to escalate things. So now my peace of mind is good to go. So I emailed Amazon. I haven't got a response yet saying, Epic Games has said they're going to drop the complaint against me, and once I get a response from Amazon and once Epic Games actually takes away their complaint, it'll go away. It'll be taken completely off my record, and it'll be squared away. So that's my experience with IP complaints. I can't say that you'll have the same results. I can't promise you that things won't change in the future. But in my 3 instances of getting complaints, that's how I resolved it. That's the steps I took. But the main thing you can do to protect yourself, because it happens, I don't really know too many sellers that do the volume that I do that haven't had this happen from time to time. The best thing you can do is keep your receipts. Know where your receipts are, keep them organized, at least to the best of your ability. I'm really bad about organizing my receipts. I have my own little generic system that it works for me. But, if you keep your receipts and you can verify your purchases, you should be able to get it resolved. The main things that I know have issues is like I see so many YouTube channels, and I don't want to bash like anybody, so I'm not going to drop names, but they're like, oh, I went to Salvation Army and I bought all this stuff. I'm going to sell on Amazon. Salvation Army is not an authorized distributor. Salvation Army doesn't purchase anything from any vendors or any distributors, and a Salvation Army receipt will get you suspended. A Salvation Army purchase has a very good chance of you losing your account completely. I mean, if you're selling something used, so like if you buy a phone or something at Salvation Army and you sell it as used, then your results would probably be different. But if I bought a brand new phone like this at Salvation Army and sent it into Amazon as brand new, and I had a complaint against me, there's probably a 0% chance that you will be able to get your account back. So, and I do hear that people have issues with Walmart receipts, stuff like that, but I'm willing to bet it's probably mainly on electronics. Electronics is a whole nother animal. And the same with books. Books are a whole nother animal. I don't deal in books. I don't deal in electronics, so I can't really advise you as far as like any experiences I've ever had, because those are completely different situations. But with toys or clothes or whatever, in my experience, if you have a receipt and you can verify your purchase and you can prove you purchased it legit, you should be okay. Yeah, so that's my experiences. I hope there was some value in this video for you. Hopefully you've learned something. If you guys have any other experiences you want to share, if there's any topics you want to see other videos on, please leave comments down below. I'll always get back to you. And I just want to like help teach you guys how to do things and my experiences. I want to help everybody grow and make some money on Amazon, because for me, selling on Amazon has been a huge blessing, being home with my kids and not working a 9-to-5 grind anymore. And I want to help other people have freedom in doing so. So if you guys have any content that you're curious about, leave me a comment. If you guys can like and subscribe to the channel, I'd really appreciate it too. Kind of keeps me motivated whenever I'm making my videos, and gives me stuff to shoot for, because I want to keep making content. I want to keep helping people. So thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Have a good day.